Ah, memories from back in the day. That's a cool one. I wouldn't mind a few of these hanging around. Look at that hippie dude. All right, let's get started. Nice evil looking. Coming in from New York. See what's going on. I'm just grabbing a quick bite before I come in and checking on stuff. Make sure my cables are solid. Here we go.
Warning, Archer's Garage Live is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Now, I'm not sure, but I didn't check. Mic should be okay. What's up, everybody? I didn't check. I thought I heard my speakers on. I'll check that when I go to play something later. Because I just reloaded my system, kind of. It did a Windows update, and it blammoed the operating system. It didn't want to come back up. Just, the spinning wheel of stars. And then eventually it blue screens and says, we're collecting some data on your issue. Oh, great, thanks. And it goes, they just collect data. I don't know what it means. It doesn't really tell you anything. There's no way to really fix it. Once you kind of blow up your OS and it won't start, there's just not a lot you can do. There just isn't any really good way. Sometimes you can fix it, but I was like, you know what? The heck with it. Let's see. What is it? Robert saying, hello, cat granddaddy. Yeah, I just went in there to check on him. So what I do have back, unfortunately, is that little glitch that you see a glitch. That I don't know why it is, although I didn't try rebooting the system. I don't remember how I got rid of that. I'm going to have to think on that. I forgot all about it because I got rid of it. But this is a cleaner operating system. So the last operating system I had on here, Windows 10, it was when I got hacked in Facebook, and then I had to unhack. There was actually a hack in my OS. It was in the files, and that's it. They worm their way in, and they can keystroke log and do stuff like that. So I unhacked that, and when I got that unhacked, I then hacked the hacker. That was over a year ago. And the system seemed clean, but it always kind of ran a little quirky. There was some issues that had been around a long time. When I had loaded the operating system the first time, I don't know, like 5 years ago, I have 2 separate hard drives. And the same, they're Samsung SSDs and 500 gigs. And I just said, you know what, I'll just load the OS on one, and then what we call cloning, I'll clone it to the other hard drive, and I have this Lian Li switch on the face of my computer. I can turn hard drives on and off. And so I had 2 clones. They were very close, but one was fully updated with all the programs and stuff on it, and the other one wasn't. So periodically, over the past few years, I would turn on the backup operating system and hard drive, and I would update it and add, like I added OBS, but it was an older version, for live shows. I added my video editor, but it was an older version. A lot of that. So I just went through it, spent a couple of days just sitting here. And it was just still pretty warm outside, so I just kind of hung out here in the AC. It takes a long time. It takes a long time to go over everything. And then I kept backing it up to make sure that I had everything I needed. And then at some point, I cloned this operating system to the old drive, wiped out what was there, and I was able to sort of, boot that back up again, check on it. Now, that drive's been around for a while, so it has something like 64 terabytes of written data to it. This hard drive only has something like 16 terabytes of data written to it. Over the course of however many years. They're the same age, but one of them has definitely got a lot more use on it. So I said, all right, I'll use this drive that I'm on, hard drive that I'm on right now. I'll use that because it has less wear. Not that it won't break, but theoretically it has less wear, and then I'll leave the other one off. And everything seems to be working except for an occasional video glitch, but all the device drivers and everything and the device manager is all properly installed now, and it's all clean, and hopefully I don't screw it up. And hopefully everything goes well. I mean, I tried to check as much as I could, but a lot of it was kind of working anyway. What are you guys doing? I see Bravo's here. He goes, evening, gents. Happy Saturday night, Arch. Happy Saturday night to you guys and you, Johnny. Although I can't see very well tonight. I guess I'm getting tired. I can't, all of a sudden, I guess the change in the lighting or whatever, that happens to me. Part of it's the diabetes. I'm not focusing well. It's fine right now, but when I take my glasses off, the stuff I would normally be able to see properly, I can't see. So I do need to rest. Yeah, I need to kind of chill out. So we're just going to do a couple of things tonight and hang out and manage. I saw Ken did a live. I saw he did another one. I watched most of it that he recorded. But they were fooling around today, talking smack, right? Back at the game of small equipment and what have you. That was fun. I caught most of it. I was outside some of the time. And I don't know what I was doing before. I kind of came late. I'm not sure what I was doing. It's just going to be a clip evening. So I'm just going to keep letting my cigarette go out, I guess. Just leave it out for now. Try to milk it for a little while. So what are you guys up to? Anything good? I think there's 12 people here. That's not bad. I think it would take a look at. I want to just do a walk around the shop because usually I don't generally do tool walk around shop, stuff like that. But I've been actually really busy cleaning up around here, and I wouldn't say I'm proud of myself or anything, but I have been working on the shop and cleaning up and doing stuff, and it doesn't ever seem like you really get anywhere. But it does feel nice when you clean an area off and you get rid of. There was some stuff, there was books and stuff projects that I did 10, 15 years ago for people that I don't even talk to all that much anymore. They never wanted it. It was my records, right? But there's just nothing in there I need. Everything was covered with soot and filth, spider webs everywhere. So I'm trying to arrange the shop. And like I said to my friend Brian, I don't know, it was a couple of months ago, maybe the beginning of the season, right? Because I had finished the cleaning up in the basement of the house, which is a total wreck, really partially because of me, but also the ladies. But I'm like, now I'm coming in here, and you the only way you can do a shop like this is you go through an area and you kind of get the low hanging fruit. You come back around and you pick an area, but you can only do so much in that area because there's probably something that you want from another area to be over there. But you can't do that yet because the other area is so bad, right? You then have to kind of do some. Then you go to another area and you get that a little bit better. Then maybe you can move something. And then you go to another area and you realize, oh, you're in, I can do a little bit, but I'm in over my head. Then you got to come back to the, it's just, that's how it is. Then I had to go into the garage to put the AC in, and that created a nightmare, but a lot of stuff had to come out and gone through and cleaned up. And then you can slowly start to put stuff back. But I don't want to keep that stuff in that area because it really needs to be in a different area. Oh my God, right? That's just the way it goes. He's like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I was telling him that stuff. He's like, yeah, I know what you mean. He's like, it's just, and this stuff is heavy and it hasn't been touched. So, when was the last time you went into your rollaway and cleaned everything and maybe blew it out with compressed air or vacuumed it or wiped it down, right? When was the last time you did that? Because I'll pull open a drawer and I'm like, oh, June bugs and crickets and filth and spiders and tools and yeah, let's just close that. So I can't have that, right? So we'll take a look at that in a bit. Let's see. Bravo goes, find that troll's hoard of 10 millimeter sockets you dropped over the past few years. Yeah, totally. And wrenches, too. And you know what? The other thing, too. Hey, Henry. The other thing, too, is that I've actually been buying, like, some small tools. I showed a little bit of stuff for the pressure washer or whatever and hose ends. But there's like a little bit at a time I've been buying, like, when did I see that 1/2 inch to 3/8 adapter last? Because now I want to put or 3/4 to 1/2 inch, because now I want to put one of my 3/4 sockets on my 1/2 inch drive, S&K ratchet. Why can't I? Because I don't know what I did with that thing. I lost it years ago, or just stuff like that. Or I picked up the other day, my brother David gave me a bunch of tools when I was a kid. In fact, you'll see it in a little bit. There's a tool box over there. It's black. And one of the cool things he gave me many years ago was just like an impact a screwdriver, right? You hold it in your hand, you give it a twist, and you hit it on the back end of it. But they're not 1/4 inch bits or whatever. They're the bigger bit, whatever the size the bit is. So a couple of them I wore out over the years, and one of them I lost. And every time that, like, I've had to make up adapters for whatever I have laying around, every time I'm like, oh, it'd be perfect just to grab that little thing. Because there's a lot of things where you, like, especially if you got a steel screw and like an aluminum cover or something and it don't want to come out and it's Phillips, it's perfect because you just kind of apply a little bit of force in the direction you want to go, give it a quick whack, and it's done. But when you don't have the bits or the bits of shot, and I don't want to buy another tool, right? It's this thing here. Hold on. Okay, what is this thing? He gave this to me like so long ago. It's probably a Craftsman. Craftsman! Let's see. Let me get a name on it first. Let's see. To engage turn body. I don't think that there is a name on it. Right? I don't see a name on it. NC? Manufacturer. Something. Oh, KD. It's a KD tool. And remember, and I bought this little kit for it. Now, I have most of these. This one actually had a few different ones that I didn't have. So just a, quick kit, right? I'm like, geez, it's just like, I've been picking up little stuff like that. Oh, it'll nickel and dime you over the years, if you, especially if I buy it all now. And actually, I'm kind of broke. I'm going to show you what I've just picked up, a new toy. But there's all of these little things that I've been kind of buying and making little lists. And some of it I threw on the credit card. I got to pay it down. But if you have a whole bunch of jobs coming up, or you just did a whole bunch, what are you gonna do? But while I think of it, because that's like something that when you go to use it, like it really is beneficial. Really, really beneficial. It's just like little stuff like that, fellas. Don't ever think. Make a list. Check it twice. And hopefully, if you're naughty or you're nice, you'll get it either way, right? So that's just my kick on it. Let me see what else you guys have. Brett's here. He goes, Dilly. Isn't that a cool tool? I mean, how many of you guys have a tool like that? Right? It's a nice tool to have. I would go get one right now. Right? Leave the show. Go on Amazon. Go get one. So many little things like that. So we'll do a walkthrough in a bit. Let me see if I can cue it up. I didn't edit or anything, so if it's a little shaky, shoot me, right? Because, I have the ability in the editor to stabilize a lot of the footage, and I don't over-stabilize it because I just, I don't care if it's, how. I mean, it would be great if I had a camera that really stabilized everything really well. But some of those cameras that do that, if you actually look at the image close, like if I were to put it in 4K, you see how mushy it is and everything. It's crappy. Let's see, Henry. What is Henry? Harbor Freight has some. Harbor Freight has some. Amazon hasn't even have 4 socket sets. Yeah, and the other thing I bought too was this. Oh, let me put this on the table. See, one of them is actually out, so it's not on the rack. Amazon has a lot of tools. Some of them are pretty nice. But if you really, it's just easier to either go to Harbor Freight or go to Harbor Freight online, right? But again, this is something else that, look, see these adapters in the back? Right? Those are the ones I was saying. And also all of these in the different sizes. Now, I have some, of course, I have a whole bunch in metric. These are standard. I'm like, especially like with the lathe and a bunch of other tools I'm using, different cap screws and hex heads and whatever. I'm like, you know what? I got to get away from this metric-y crap. I'm so sick of it. F metric, right? But this is like a whole set. It's magnetic. It just sits wherever you need to keep it. And this was not expensive. And I like the black stuff, right? That it's impact. It's more impact rated. And I'm not looking for shiny tools, whatever. Because I have some Matco, I've got some S&K, I've got some Mac, I've got, whatever. That stuff was expensive. But it's good stuff, right? If you're a professional, years ago, it used to be like 20 grand for like your starter kit if you started off as a mechanic. Now, I don't know, what is it, like 100? It's insane. Hold on. Bravo goes, got 3 of those things. Small one for carbs, yup, and light stuff. Medium size for most stuff, yeah. And big 1/2-inch square drive for heavy stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yup. And Brett says, I need a set of 8-point sockets. Yeah, me too, actually. I think I have, I got to go through them because over the years, I've got this mix, mishmash set. Because sometimes a lot of the stuff was Craftsman. So where I used to live, there were 2 different Craftsman places I could go to. And they were about the same distance. But sometimes you'd get there and they would not have what you were looking for. They might have a socket and a different point set. Same thing over here. When the Craftsman was over here, we had our own little store. None of that exists anymore, right? Bought some of my nice tools there and machines, right? Craftsman was good. Just ask Robert. Well, my Craftsman. Right, Brett? If Brett was here, he'd be doing it. So would Robert, actually, right? Robert's here. Brett's here. Like here, on the mic. Yeah, so pick up whatever you need, You can't wait forever because the problem is that when you need it, it's like, now what am I going to do? I want to get a set of flex head, ratcheting wrenches, the wrenches that have the ratchet in them. And but I want a flex head set. And I was thinking about getting a bigger set because they have, you know, you got the ratchet on one end, but usually the simpler sets have the ratchet on one end, maybe flex head or not, and then the ratchet on the other end, flex head or not, whatever. But you can buy a bigger set where you get an open end and a ratchet on the other side. This way you can, you know, start a bolt, you know, or a nut or whatever, or sneak it, and then, you know, there's reason, and then you can put, right, rather than just a regular socket set. But I definitely needed some of those, definitely. So that's on the list. That's going to have to wait a couple of months, maybe next year. I don't know, winter time, something, Christmas. I don't know. It's not going to happen anytime soon. I got other shit I got to get, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute what I just got. Bravo says, wait. Brett goes, he goes, I need him for the brush hog. Yeah, right. I couldn't get the oil plug out to save my life. Ended up using suction. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, you know. You need tools. So when I was really, really broke, and I was thinking about moving down to my brother's, which I probably should have, but, you know, I didn't want to leave my daughter. Like, that was my thing. Regardless of what was going on, I'm like, as long as I'm on this earth, I really, like, she would be better off down there, and we would all be better off down there anyway, but whatever. So I was selling off some stuff, and I said the last thing I want to sell is my tools. I'm not saying I did sell a few tools that I generally don't use, which is crazy too, because sooner or later I'll wind up using them. Right? There's like no tool that at some point in my life I won't use. But I said to my brother, I said, David, I said, how many tractor trailers are we planning on? He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you've been here. I mean, you know what this stuff weighs? I mean, what do you think? I'm just going to get rid of everything and then like not use it? I'm like, that's not a life. Like, tools are my life. Like, I think of all the things, I mean, I love music, and I've had lots of guitars and I've sold them. And I've had lots of cars and wrecked them, destroyed them, tore them apart and sold them. And beautiful cars too. But tools, like, I'm like, you know, no. I don't like losing those. You know, it freaks me out. Brother goes, holy cow, I still have tons of Craftsman tools I bought 10% off when I worked at Sears over 50 years ago. Yeah, boy, yeah. And, you know, I haven't done it in a while, but at some point, I do want to get back to sort of cruising the town, garage sales and everything. I miss doing that. I just love stuff like that. There's occasionally I look and I realize, I'm like, you know, I could use that tool. I think that's a good price. Or I could use that tool. That's a good price. That's not bad. Let me go. And also just general garage sales where, you know, the best are the ones where, you know, where somebody just is moving or whatever, or somebody unfortunately passed on, and everybody else is like, get rid of it. That's what I always tease my family. Like, that's what's going to happen here. Because as soon as I go, none of you want any of this. You don't even want to come in here. Nobody knows anything about it. My friend Arthur of Young Mikey will be here, and they'll all be lining up, just, you know, grabbing everything, right? Because my daughter doesn't know what to do with any of this stuff. She doesn't want any of this. She doesn't understand. You know, your legacy, right? They don't care about your legacy. Oh, hey, TJ. TJ's fooling around. TJ found himself another machine in the garbage. That was a nice one. Yeah, DJ found a nice lawnmower. Like I was saying a couple of weeks ago, you know, go find something in the garbage. And I did a video, too, of talking about that. He did. He found a nice one in the garbage with the bag. Brought it up. Yeah, they didn't want it. Well, you're going to be finding that. People that are moving over to electric. Yeah, I heard some jabber. I don't know if it was this week or last time, some jabber on Ken's. I think Wayne was talking about somebody he knew that bought an electric on Amazon, and Wayne was like, you better check the battery and everything, and oh, it wasn't there, and what a nightmare trying to get it back. And I think he said the guy gave him some mowers and whatever. I don't want them. Oh, yeah. You're going to run into that. On one hand, you're going to run into that. And on the other hand, you're going to have people that realize that the price of any mower today is expensive, and they're going to be looking if you can do, you know, fix a few up and sell them. You'll sell them. You'll get some money for it. Everything is going up. So, although here, what Mikey and I noticed, maybe it's changed now. Sorry, I got to eat a little bit. But at the beginning of the year, we noticed that the pricing to sell them or how much you could get or any machine, we couldn't bring it up. We couldn't raise it. Because it's very expensive to live here where I am. The demand isn't hitting. Remember, everything is, about your area. I often say that. It really has to do with where you are, what the market is like. And I guess it really hadn't set it. Maybe it's set in now, right? Because now we're coming down towards the end of the season. And people are realizing that whether it's an electric or a gas-powered machine from China, because it's not American. So either way, it's not American. And I know they're hurting, right? Because everything got expensive. Although things did drop in price a little bit because the gas and has come down quite a bit, and that's helped a lot. But still, it's expensive here. So people are in that point of maybe they'll cross over for next season and they'll realize, better to buy a used machine from Arch and Mikey. And it'll be a little bit more than the prior years, but maybe better to do that for those people that are interested. And then maybe next year we can get some more money. I actually stopped selling machines. I've sold a couple of them this year. I have not been looking to do it because I'm like, I can only get 140 for this. What the hell's that? I'm not selling this for $140. I used to get 160. There was a time I'd get 160, 180, 200, 225. And then everything got weird and I don't know. I don't know where we are right now, honestly, in this world. I know all the details and everything, but when it comes to hawking wares and everything, I don't know. It's like I said, it's hard on Long Islanders right now, and I know it's hard in other places too. Let's see what Henry says. Hold on. Let me unlock. First, I got to clear the other one. My daughter wants to use my ex-wife's, her mom's truck tomorrow because her boyfriend's truck is check engine light. And he asked me, can you help or whatever? I said, yeah, you're going to need the, plugs, whatever. He didn't like that. I said, well, why don't you buy a Chilton or a Haynes book? No, didn't like hearing that either. So a friend of his came over, I guess, and they said they found a bug between the coil and the plug wire or something. Anyway, they were noodling around with it, and the check engine light went off, and the problem was fine. Guess what? It's back on. Don't listen to me, right? And contractor Mike, same crap. I'm going through that with him too. Well, you can fix it. You're a smart guy, and you can fix it. Can you stop the bleeding? Mike, I'm busy right now. Ooh, what's this? What's this? Can I make it bigger? Ooh, what is this? Oh, nice. Ooh, look at that. Tripod dolly. Yeah, ooh. Yeah, there's so much nice stuff. $42. It's not bad within the overnight. And I see this one here. Yeah, this is the Benro. He's you might see some of it. Let's see. I'm a little behind, so yeah, you can see it. And I use the K&F concepts. Although I will say this. Right? Yours is the compression style. Yeah, like this one here. What do I do with it? Here it is. Yeah. Hey, while I'm on that subject, hold on. So this is the K&F concept, and you see how I have it set up a little bit differently because of the way I use my cameras. But it's the compression ring style. Notice this tape, and then there's tape on every one up here. These are still okay, but they're plastic, the compression rings. And it's like my old mic stands, right? They use a brass compression ring. And brass, and the collar is steel, and the ring that goes in and tightens up on the tube is brass. These are plastic, and they're thin. And it wouldn't lock. Now, I have two of these. One is a cam lock, and I've never had a problem with it. And this one is the compression ring. And there's tape on there because it got damaged. And my cameras are expensive, and I'm not dumping $2,000 worth of camera on the floor or have it tilt over and slam into something because of some piece of crap plastic. So my recommendation is to not use those. I don't know if every manufacturer, I mean, they're probably all plastic. It's all the same design. It's nice because it telescopes easy. Some people say, well, I like it. You turn the ring and it comes out and you tighten the ring again. So I just taped all of them, and now it can't dive, and I don't really trust that stand. That's like the stand that I beat up. I put it outside. I try to put like cheaper cameras on it, but sometimes I have to put my better camera on it, and I'm not happy. And I don't know if you could get a replacement part for that. It's just a plastic sleeve in there, and it tore from turning. And, I use them a lot, like it's every day. So maybe you won't have that problem. But, if you're using something every day, he goes, I just picked these up for $8 at a tax sale. That's sweet. Yep. For $8, even for I get nervous, like even for like $8, I don't want to dive my, what $8 is great. But if I'm just holding up a cell phone, I don't care, which I do. Sometimes I shove my cell phone on that. My other cell phone, but I don't want my big camera on that. I don't care. Well, you couldn't pay me enough. Like I'm getting to the point now where I don't know what to do. They have really nice stands and they're really expensive. Most of these are meant to kind of carry with you somewhere, and they're somewhat disposable. If you're like backpacking or whatever, and they're fairly light, right? So you can shove it in the back. That's pretty much why they're collapsible. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Hold on. Let me set this up real quick. I have to do that. Let's see if it still works. Right? Yeah, that works. Let's see. Brett says, by the way, Arch, customer picked it up yesterday, satisfied. That thing ran great on that aftermarket carburetor. All right, nice. What was Brett working on? He was working on this thing. Let's see if I can get to it. Let's see. I have a pick. Should still have it. Yeah, this thing. Big Mike would kind of like this, but I can't blow it up. Yeah, I can blow it up a little bit. Yeah, I can blow it a little bit more. It's a DR. Older school, but it's got a lot of nice features. So, of course, I like the flatheads and all. But I said to him, we have this old brush cutter here that I'm going to fix up. You'll see it in a minute. That thing's cool, but that thing is a brush cutter. I mean, it's got the teeth, right? But that unit's expensive. The one that Brett sold. If it's in really good working shape, it's expensive. Whereas Mike picked this thing up for a couple $100. This other thing over here that you'll see. So, yeah, so TJ scored. Here, wait. Let's see. Yeah. Here we go. I'll blow it up a little bit. It's a newer style, but it's free with the bag. That's what TJ got. Starts right up with the bag. Looks like it's in good shape. I don't see all the rot or anything on the deck. Clean. High wheel, which I like. So, congrats on TJ. and Henry and Brett. Yeah, I showed Dodge the other day, 10.5 Briggs. I see. Great motor. Very similar to what Big Mike has. What is Big Mike's? 12, I think, or something. But he's got the Nicky carb on there. So we'll fool with that maybe over the winter, or he'll fool with it. Roxy just winked at Darwin. I know, I went in before. The cats kind of have like a new spot in the front room. And they were, and the window, one of the windows, new window is open, and the female is laying in it basically all day. That's all she cares about. And they're all like taking turns. Last I looked, I went in to go to the bathroom, and they were in the bathroom window towards the back of the house over me, because it's a smaller window, but it's up higher. And they just loved that. Oh, I just saw a glitch. Yeah. I'll fix that another time. I don't remember why. I'm going to have to put my brain on for that. I'm trying not to use my brain right now. Darwin is embarrassed. Yeah. I did a video on my new tachometers. Nice. Oh, I'll have to check that out. He's been outside playing with his deer tonight. Sweet. Put tape over the check engine light. It always goes out. Yeah. In the dark. Make it dark. My tripod is an old Ambico. Had it since I used an old Sony Hi8 camcorder. I still have this. I think it's like a Samsung or Toshiba Hi8. Chinesium built. Yeah. Because TJ goes, I love the shirt and cap. Yeah, because TJ set me up with this. I know. It was nicer out today, so I was able to wear black. I love the green, though, because I'm in and out of the sun, and it's hot in here. And I said to him, that's the color. One, it's green. One, I like green. Two, it's mowers and small equipment, so lawn green. Lawn green. Remember lawn green? You guys remember Lauren Green? Over here on the Penderosa, right, Bruce? That's a shout out to Bruce. Bruce over at the Penderosa. When he first said that, I think it was the first time I heard it. He was having some work done on his house, like siding or whatever. This is years ago. And I'm watching his show, because I used to like to watch, not just when he was doing a mow or whatever, but he was like noodling around with something. And he said something like, here at the Penderosa, and I almost fell off my chair. Yeah. Let's see. Current price is equivalent $2,400. Oh my God. No rot. Yeah, no rot, TJ. That's what you're really looking for. Also, that John Deere JX75 sold to a commercial cutter. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Lauren Green. Yeah. Really the commercial world is really for guys like us that are into small equipment. I keep saying it, like the industry is just so effed up, but where I came from, there's no industry for a guy like me. First of all, there's nobody can even afford. Almost everyone, including my sister with my old parents' old house, she converted the garage and everything into a rental for renting to an old woman who's completely out of her mind, who's in really bad shape and drives her absolutely nuts and doesn't pay her rent. And she can't kick him out because they changed all the laws. Right, so renters have all these rights, and if you're a landlord, you have none. Literally, like it's brutal here. That's another story. But nobody can afford the high taxes there, so they converted all the garages into some kind of living space for usually rental. There's cars everywhere now, right? We used to play on the street, have stickball and whatever. Now it's like constant cars in your way, and these are wide streets too. But whatever, who cares? Here, right, it's a little bit different, but it's turning into something else. There's no such thing as like a lawn tractor or anything like that. Nobody has everything's been subdivided. Here they've been subdividing to some degree, because you can sell, if you have a big property, you might be able to get it zoned, especially if it's like a corner house or something. You might be able to get it, rezoned, whatever, and sell a section of your property to squeeze in. Where my friend Steve lives, it's like a lot of homes are like that. In Nassau County, they squoze in next to each other. So you don't need any kind of real lawnmower for that, and you could probably just go to electric in most cases. Although if you go to the South Shore, either there or here or way up on the North Shore where the wealthy people live, right, they have contractors come and take care of their property. So if you can get hooked in with those people, you know, you could make some money fixing their stuff. Let's see. PG goes laugh out loud. Ringo, yeah, Lawn Green. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, contractor Mike's still giving him. He's like, he put in, he had somebody install, because he's had this like 11th starter that he's on for his 350 Chevy motor from 1994 in a big truck. He's like, you got to fix it. He's like, I think it's the timing. I'm like, it might be. Is there a check engine light? He goes, I don't think there is a check engine light. I said, and then I said something about it's a 94, so it should have, one of those computer ports somewhere underneath the dash. He doesn't have that. I said, how could it not have that? Like, I mean, I don't even want to look at it. How could it not? If somebody was at this thing and ripped the computer out and everything else, I don't know. He's like, well, you should be able to fix it. I'm like, I don't. If that's the case and somebody, how is that be missing? He's like, oh, it's before computers. I'm like, no, 1994. You kidding me? We had OBD1 in the 80s. You know, I forget when exactly it started, but it's at least OBD1, if not OBD2. I forget. 95 was OBD2. Pretty sure. Mine's a 97. It's OBD2. Yeah, I could probably fix it, but, you know, what does Big Mike say? Oh, Big Mike just stopped in. Oh, you missed it, Mike. We were talking about you. I'll have to rewind it. He goes, just stopped in. What's up? He says, what's up to everybody? Yeah, we were just talking about you a little bit. Just a little bit. Nothing good. Nothing bad either. Bravo goes, my 89 Tornado is OBD2. It has 6 computers in it. Yeah. See? So it's like, I don't want to get involved. He had hit me up like a couple weeks ago. And he's like, can you give me some advice or like a little help? I want to, because his seat is no good in one of his trucks, right? They're all rotted. Everything is rotted. And it's a seat on Facebook and I want to know how to like put it in or advice. I didn't even want to answer that because what he wants to know, if I were to go and do it and I looked at the floor and the floor was rotted, it would need a new floor. And then I would have to make appropriate seat brackets to mount the seat. What he wants me to tell him, to show him, is how to take 10 license plates, a stop sign, duct tape, and like some of the racks that he put up to hold his trimmers in the back of one of his trucks using sheetrock screws. That's what he wants me to help him with, like that, you know, to how to do that. And I don't do that. Right, I've seen some of the stuff he uses. He grabbed pieces from like lawnmower parts, which I don't have anything against, but he made some kind of rack on the top of one of his trucks, which I thought was he had ingenuity, but there was some wood involved. The screws are sticking out the other side. Some pieces don't even fit together. There's tie wraps there, and I'm like, you're putting heavy equipment on top of this, and if you stop short, all of that's going to come apart into a bunch of Tinker Toys and like fly into the car in front like shrapnel and birdshot coming out of the front end of a very large cannon. Like, no, I don't want to do anything like that. I don't even want to talk to that. And if somebody ripped all this stuff out, I'm like, Mike, I'm like really busy, right? And so when I get past some of these, you know, bigger projects, you'd have to leave it here. And I'd have to go through it. There could be so many things wrong with it. There could be crossed wires. Somebody might have ripped out the computer. Somebody may have, if there's, I don't know. He goes, and if I disconnect the coil, then it turns over properly. If I put the coil on, it goes crazy. I'm like, well, I don't know what goes crazy means, you know. But he was killing starter motors. But when I said to him, I said, did you ever find those little shims? They're like little shims. They go between the starter motor and, you know, the body of the, I think it bolts into the engine block. Some of these, they bolt into the transmission. But he said, yeah, we didn't use those. We didn't think we needed them. Okay. Duct tape. Use duct tape. Proper use of duct tape, crazy glue, and epoxy. Expoxy. Yeah, OBD1, not 2. Yeah. Yeah, that's how my 80s were. They were like OBD1, which was okay. I like OBD2 better, but Brett goes, it's like the time in Ken's chat I said, since I can't see, I was a grass bat instead of a grass rat. Yeah, because you have to feel your way around and use your radar, right? Your sonar, rather. You can hear, so you can use your sonar. Let's take a shop tour, real quick. Let's see. Let me transition back to the regular. Yeah, Arch's sloppy shop, which is getting better, right? I'm trying to clean up my act, fellas, because it's been so out of it the past, I don't know how many years. What with being crippled and everything. Jeez. So I try to go slow sometimes because, I have a lot of energy and I'm definitely getting stronger, but sometimes I'm like, I just fall apart. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I got to go lay down. I'm done. I can't do anymore. Done now. Leave me alone. All right, we got to go over to this. And then this. It's like, done now. Leave me alone. All right, let me cue it up. See what monitor comes up on. Okay, let's do a quick walk. Oh, that's good. And desktop audio. And right monitor. There it is. All right, I'll check audio and everything as I go. Oh, let's do a quick walk around in the shop. This guy actually was fooling around. I was listening to Ken's show earlier, but I was using it the other day, and that tire popped off again. It's not leaking. That was the one I redid the rim and all this other stuff, and I put it on the channel. I was trying out my tire changer, and you hear it? Is it this? I don't know what that is. You guys hear that? Not the music. It sounds like it's leaking. But it wasn't leaking when I sprayed it before, so that's why it's still up. I'm gonna check it again. If it gives me more grief, I'll get a tube for it. I think there's a tube in that one. Wait. No, the sound is coming from somewhere else. Could it be like a cicada or something? Wait, it stopped. Yeah, it stopped. So it's not this. Like I said, I sprayed it. What I did was I kind of just blew it out. I had all kinds of sauce in there and slime. Didn't help. If it does leak, or maybe it did, I think what might have happened was it got low, and then I cut these tight turns, and it blew off the rim, and I was just able to finish, cutting the lawn. So what I did was I used a mix of oil and Caro and I don't know, whatever else I've been fooling around with. Washed it down with a brush, wiped it with some rag, paper towels, got the rim bead seat area and everything done. Nice and clean, as best I could, and then oiled up the sidewalls, and I used my air cannon. Got the air cannon up to about 40 psi, 50 psi, that's what seemed to work, and it was able to fill it. And I left the valve in, because I tried it without, it just didn't want to go. It's been sitting fine. Anyway, that's the other air conditioner I got to bring in the basement. I got to finish testing it. So, I got the AC in. A little bit more cleanup in here. I got the 2 panels. One of them is a 110 panel. That's in, and the other one is 220. So 220 incoming. I just left all of that 220. Everything in that is 220, and then let's see, and then this one is all 110. So that's like 100 amp right there. Got the AC in. I got this guy all cleaned up. This is the 2 of these. I got to dig these out. So we're going to be putting the metal blade in there. You remember to close that window before the insects come. This is going to be for that welder, which I'll show you in a minute. This is going to, I'm making a nice work table, small work table for like anvil, cutting, vicing, banging, welding, whole bunch of other crap. I don't know, whatever. We'll see. That's got to go. I want to get rid of this. Some of this needs to go outside. And I want to find a better place for this guy. I'm thinking maybe... The problem is up against that wall, there's a crack in the concrete and it drops down. And even though I'm going to set up with adjusters on this, it might be too far. We need to get the lathe level. I got the whole carriage assembly broken down, taken apart. I showed you guys that. I want to find another place for that. But I might put the lathe up against here. This is fairly level. I can level this area here, you know, when I'm done. Meantime, you know, I've been cleaning lights. I got to clean these two lights. It's getting brighter, but those are clean. And the ones up there is clean. That's filthy. All of the ceiling fans are really gross. I got this guy out. It's all working good. Of course, Big Mike. I've been using this guy. What is it, like a 1-ton mic? I forget, it's written on there. I got it all cleaned up, soaked it in oil. It was a little stuck, but a little super clean. Yeah, 1 ton. Perfect for me. Perfect. I just love this thing. I'm going to be using it on that. I used it on Mike's tow behind. I used it on something else the other day. And then this guy, this is the hand crankable. You could move it up or down however you want. Guy said to me the other day, I got to answer him too. See, I can move it up or down. I think it goes up to about 36. I think everything is like 36. Hold on, let me get that rag.
Hold on. I never finished what I'm thinking. A guy hit me up on the video for that. I made this whole work table, right, a while back. And he said, "Why did you ever think about welding a nut on the end of that?" And, you know, just using a power tool or whatever to zip it up and down, because it's on an Acme that I fitted to it. So I made that made from scratch. And I thought about, I got to write him back. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's something I got to do at some point in the future. But I do want to leave the hand crank, or have a hand crank that mounts to the nut or something, because I do like the hand crank feature. Sometimes I just want to bring it up a little bit more or lower it down. But let's say I wanted to lower it down really low for something that is big, and, you know, it's high. It's going to be tall. Well, then if you want to lower it down quick, you can use the nut. And then if you want to bring it back up quick, yeah, you use your cordless drill or something. But to make some of these small adjustments, I mean, I love the way it feels, the hand crank. It's just nice. I got to answer him too. See, I can move it up or down. I think it goes up to about 36. I think everything is like 36. Hold on, let me get that rag. This I cleaned up. This was filthy. I got another one too. So I got that guy. That is a project coming up soon. That's an electric table. That'll be fun. That goes up pretty high too. Get this out of the way. That guy's back there. Those two are back there. I got to set them up. I think I'm going to just move this out a little bit more and set them up along the back. And as long as I have enough room to get in there, plus I can always mount them on the front. But you can weld on this too. I had the wood on it, but it took up too much room. And then when you want to weld, you want metal underneath you. So until I get other tables set up, you know, why stress out? Yeah, that air conditioner came out nice. Yeah. Yeah, everything's working good. It's getting cooler out now, but boy, that really came in handy. Right,
so
Ken?
I can clean up in here. I know it's late. I think I'm going to go do a live. I don't think I ever put this on the channel. I made a nice... I think I talked about it, but I put a whole new saddle in. I redid the doors. I've been working on these doors. Tighten them up, sealing them up, and I made this nice... Lots of oak saddle. I rebuilt the door frame, and I welded this guy up. Nice transition. It's even got a piece of wood underneath it, so it's all steel, all welded up. Reinforced, nice and thin too, so it's a nice, easy transition to get out the ramp, you know, back here. It's dark out now. Yeah, they're partying in the back. That's all I hear every weekend. It's a bar around the corner.
They play okay music, though.
Coming up with the welder soon. Next is to clean this area here. This guy. As soon as I fix my sister's pressure washer, that's all crusty yak in there. As soon as I fix her pressure washer.
Yeah, I'll use her washer to test it.
It's coming
clean
soon,
up.
Mike. I'm promising. I'm trying to get stuff done. This seems to be in a good spot for now, and I got this area cleaned up. Yeah, I got to use this guy today. Thankfully. Let's see what else we got here. Laying it out nice. Coming around to this is something that I'll talk about in a little bit. This is sweet. So I'll be setting this up tomorrow and Monday. I got a guy coming, he's going to drop off some more stuff. And slowly but surely, I'm kind of getting around the tool center. It's just a mess. I want to move the drill press out into the garage as well. Got my fridge set up at the microwave. Trying to deal with that. This big vise will probably stay here, but this little guy will move in the other room because I can't get to it over here. This was in a different spot years ago. And then, of course, I got this center all cleaned up. Right? This was a total mess. This was all a disaster. I still have some more to do. And straightening up in here. There was so much crap in these shelves that there was stuff in there from 10, 15 years ago. I don't need. It was just all jammed in. What a mess. And I just went over my computer system too and backed it all up. Maybe talk about that, but that's all ready to go now. And I've been detailing it. So it needed, a Windows update screwed me up. So this area got cleaned up a little bit more. I actually have some proper inventory and stuff I need sort of put away. And I opened up a shelf over here in case I need something up there. I might need some room. I got all those books up there which are just languishing. Carburetors and stuff and whatever else. I'm getting there. It's going to take a little while.
Oh, yeah. Stand by. Everything takes time. It's not a big area. It's big. I mean, it's just the size of Liz's house. God, I asked her if she wanted to come over to do a farm. She won't even answer me anymore. She doesn't even bother. Like, she's just in such a way in her life. Like, I feel for her, but, I warned her, whatever. She said, no, nobody's healthy, and she's never healthy, and she took too many of the pokey shots, and they can't figure out why they constantly have COVID, and I'm like, I would not do all of that. I would not do that. Oh, what the hell you know? Are you a doctor? The doctors don't even know. Now they're learning. Oh, my God, what a nightmare. But, yeah, it just takes forever to kind of go through a place like this. As soon as you start, it's like it's an explosion of garbage and stuff, and everything has to be cleaned, and then you have to try to put something back, and it takes me forever to clean up. It's horrible. But I do enjoy it if I can find the time for it. Let me move this out of the way. When I can find the time for it, we'll take a look at the welder in a little bit and see what you guys are doing. But we'll get a little bit closer look. So I got all these projects coming up. In fact, I got a guy coming over Monday-ish. He sent me pics. Yeah, let me see. Hold on. Let me catch up with... So Mike goes... Big Mike goes, nice to see that chain gal being used. Oh, Mike, thank you so much. First of all, it's something I've been dreaming about for a really long time. And it's just... what I like about it, even on the hoist... I mean, I have a couple overheads that I can tie it to as well. But the hoist is, it's, the wheels and the concrete, I can kind of move it, sneak it in. And rather than use the hydraulic pump, and then you go to let the juice out, and it goes, boom, right? And you're like, no, that's too much. With the chain pull, you can go up a little, down a little. It moves very little. It's very accurate. You can sneak something in, especially when I go to assemble that lathe with all those heavy pieces, and I'm going to need to go slow, and taking it apart's not so bad, but it's just so much easier just going like this and have a controlled amount of movement. When I took off the apron with that big rod, I showed you guys, I think it was last week, it got stuck. I wanted to pull the rod out. You should be able to pull the screw out of it, the lead screw, and it was stuck. It came out, but not when I wanted to take it out, which you should take it out before you remove the apron and everything else. So I lifted it up properly and I snuck it out and got it out. And when I put it on the table and a little lube and whatever, then it slid right out because everything is stuck. But when I go to put everything back in again, if I have like that whole assembly for the motor and everything, that is so heavy. And I saw Big Mike trying to like hold the motor and we were trying to start a screw and he's a big boy. I'm not, right? And he's like holding it and we're trying to get things going. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. You can't be hit. And if you drop it on your foot or you drop it on the ground, and especially if it's cast, it's broken, right? So that's gonna be awesome having that. What did Tony say? Let's see what he get. He goes, shit, my tranny on my van not working. Drive on 3 when it reaches 25 miles to 30 miles per hour. And then I shift into drive. I'm able to drive once I stop and I have to start on 3rd gear and start over again. Some said they can fix it for $1,600. I remember you mentioned that like a year ago. $1,600. Everyone else wants $2,500 or more. Yeah, trannies are expensive. Not sure if I fix it to get rid of it. Yeah, I remember when he goes, now how am I supposed to bring you things over to you? Yeah, right? Yeah, I remember you when you would tell us like a year ago you started having problems with that, DJ. Yeah. Some of these, and on these newer vehicles, oh my God, the newer GMs, even the Dodge, when these trannies go, it's a lot of money and it's big problems. Oh, don't get me started on that. They're doing the same thing to the automotive industry that they did to the small equipment industry. They're shitting it. They're destroying it, right? Because they don't want, like GM is done. Like GM, we lost GM in 2008 when we had the big market crash, and the Chinese bought into it, and ever since the Chinese have been stealing the technology, and the dum-dums that essentially run the company, well, they gave it away, and now the Chinese own 51%. It's no longer big GM anymore. They had to change the corporation and the structure. So it's now the Chinese have control of GM. It's not the same GM, and a number of their vehicles are actually Chinese. They're not American. They're not made here. I think most of the EVs and stuff, they're pretty much all Chinese with American names. Everything is made, all the parts and everything. They sold, or they had the electrical division and the other one. That's the, I can't think of all the names right now. I mean, I know them when I see them, but all those divisions are gone, right? They're all gone. They're all gone. Nothing's here. All of those divisions. There's Delco, and there was another one too that they had, all gone. So we lost GM. GM's over. And I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I mean, they're still financially not doing well, and the Chinese just want to use them as the name as an outlet to sell their Chinese crap, Chinese cars. So what a disaster, right? I remember sitting there all back years ago when Clinton was like, oh, you were going to be a service economy. I'm like, this is not going to end well, and here we are. Right, here we are. So the idea is in the automotive industry is effectively the dealers now will have control. And you see like the similar issues with John Deere with the right to repair, right? Same thing. A lot of the stuff cannot be repaired in local shops. You have to bring it back to the dealer at some point for final programming or whatever. And the dealerships will have more control than they've ever had. The smaller mechanic shops will be out of the loop. And as far as like new cars and used cars, previous ownership is all they're looking for. That's it. And once it gets to a certain point, because almost everything is lease, because nobody can afford to buy a truck for $100,000. That's insane. That's what I paid for my house, $127,000. That's ridiculous. So it's driven the cost of everything up. So any used car beyond one owner, you're not going to be able to even get your hands on. Those prices are all going to go up. And nobody wants to, they're not going to last either. They're just simply not going. If this keeps going, a 10-year-old car isn't going to be a thing because it will not last 10 years. Even if you wanted to sell one, there won't be one because like with these crappy lawnmowers and everything else that they're coming out, they're not going to be around in 10 years because they are designed to fail. No one will be able to afford to fix it and no one will want to fix it. You're just going to have to go and get your lean your butt over, put some Vaseline in it, and sign a check or your credit card or your digital currency over to the tune of $50,000 if you wish to drive. And if you don't have that kind of money, they don't want you driving. Living in a 15-minute city, right? I've been saying this for years. Like, that's what they want, right? How they'll manage to pull that off and to what degree, I don't know. A lot of it's going to be if people wake up. And I was saying to my friend Brian, like, I really want to go and find, and this is starting to be a thing on YouTube. I want to find another 90s or very early 2000 GM or Ford, not so much the Ford or, maybe even a Dodge or something, Chrysler, whatever, truck of some kind. 90s, even some of the cooler cars, if they're still around, they're hard to find. Their prices are going up, but they're repairable, they're more durable. And depending on which one you get, I mean, a lot of them are already 25 years old. You can get special tags and lower insurance rate if you're not going to drive it all the time. I'm like, yeah, I need to get on that for sure. I can't afford these new cars. This is ridiculous. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. And that's not going to go away. That's crazy. Mortgage. Well, what did Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum say? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. I don't know about being happy, but I guess if they drug you up enough, and keep you preoccupied with bullshit, then maybe you'll be happy, or you just won't know. I mean, young people coming up today, they don't know. They don't know about what we lived through, what it was like in the 80s and 70s or whatever. They don't know. Right? They listen to music. Now all the music's going to be synthetic and fake. It's just, I get chills when I think of it. Let's see. Ken goes, good evening, all better late than never. It was a locust. Was that what it was? A locust or something? Let's see what Mike says. Let's see. Mikey, right, young Mikey, he picked up like a 90-something extended cab, extended bed, Chevy. And I'm like, Mike, he drives it everywhere. It's a little rotted. It's actually not that bad. The cab's got some rot. But the rest of it's in like really nice shape. I'm like, Mike, I want this thing. He just drives it everywhere. Like, he stopped driving his really nice trucks because, like, this thing, it's not bad. The interior was nice. It's made like a brick shit house, right? Chain fall, yeah. He goes, I have to get to Georgia. My dad's got a 1992 GMC long bed 2-door 5-speed 4x4. Yeah, that's kind of like what Mikey has with the extended cab. Although I think it's an automatic. But yeah, bro, don't let that disappear. You got to keep that in the family. Absolutely. Yeah, do not let that vehicle disappear. That's what we need. That's what we need to start collecting. Maybe an old... I remember I had my 80s Camaro. I got it from a dude that bought it new. He bought 2 Camaros at the same time, an IROC and a regular Camaro. I love this little Camaro. It was actually... I almost like driving it better than the Nova because it's got the European-style suspension. It had a 305 in it, but but the gearing was really good. So it made it feel, and it was comfortable, and the dash was nice, and the AC worked. It's just that the paint peeled off. Remember the paint? Right? It was starting to peel. But I wound up trading that for a Blazer or something. That and a Jeep I had for a newer Blazer. Guy around the corner said to me, because I see you take care of everything. I know where the thing came from. And he goes, I need 2 vehicles quick, and I need something for my son. And he goes, you want to do a trade? I said, all right. I wound up taking that truck apart. I don't know why. Because I back in the day, I did weird things. I remember a time, my friends will remember this, but I took my 67 Mustang. And they're Mustangs, even when they were 10, 15, 12 years old, right? I took the 67 Mustang. It did get hit, but it was repairable. I took the motor out of it. And then I took a Sawzall. I got so frustrated by these stupid Mustangs. I took a Sawzall and an air cutter, an air chisel. And my friend Arthur says to me, he goes, "What?" He goes, went to work, drove past my house, everything was normal. He came back at the end of the day, and at the curb was stacks of Mustang in 4-foot sections. He goes, "Where's your car?" He goes, "What the hell, is that your Mustang?" I said, "Yeah, I put it to the curb. I called Special Collection." Yeah, they came and it was all stacked. I just cut it up. I'm like, I'm sick of this. No more Mustangs. I'm sick of these pieces of shits. Because the way they were built and they were thin material and everything rotted and, oh, jeez. That's when I started to go into like full frame or the Nova, which had a partial front clip. And I was just like, no, I don't like unibody. They rot. They're horrible. And, oh, jeez. I mean, I get the whole concept of the engineering and all, but you can't weld anything. It just comes apart. You got to replace huge sections. Yeah, I had a lot of those stupid Mustangs. They were all missing floors, and the torque box was like disconnecting. And I had one where it was Flintstone car. It was a 68 fastback. And when I would shift it, you could see everything on the floorboard in the drive shaft tunnel just move, right? Like that. And I'd look at my friend Steve, and you'd actually see the transmission start to move too. I'm like, it was beautiful. It was black interior. It was red, but they're just crap. It's just crap. They really are. They were not very good cars. They really weren't. Right? But they were cheap back in the day, and they were fun. They were not meant to last all that long, and that wasn't a conspiracy or anything. It was just when they sold cars in those days, even like the 50s cars, they were never really meant to last. They were made well, but they didn't have any way of properly dipping the car or undercoating it and whatever. And the engines weren't all that good. The transmissions were okay, but the engines weren't great. Let's face it, right? I remember reading in my Popular Mechanics magazines that I used to have. I used to have a whole bunch of them, but then the bugs got out of them. And back in the 50s, they were just mechanics that would come to your house in your garage and take the head off and clean all the schmuck out of the valves and everything. Because those motors only lasted, before they started to really give you problems, they lasted about 50,000 miles. And some of it was the engine, but a lot of it was the oil was so bad. And I remember when I was young, like 19, 18, 17, maybe even 16, and we'd take the valve covers off of the 60s cars, and you'd have to use a screwdriver and a paint scraper to get to the rocker arms because everything just coked and cooked into sludge that a hammer and a screwdriver and a chisel was required to find the bolts and get to stuff. That shit didn't last. We look back and we have this love affair with a lot of it, but it wasn't necessarily all that good. There were problems. I mean, oil and gas is a lot better nowadays. Let's see. That might have been a Locust King because he goes, that garage is getting serious. Thanks, Ken. I'm trying. I'm working on it. He goes, TJ goes, you want to rebuild my transmission, Arch? You have all the tools. No, I don't want to do a transmission. That's such a sloppy you need a transmission table for that. I kind of have something that I could do it on. I actually have a thing that would handle it. But that is a sloppy, and those trannies are hard. They're not, that's all transverse mounted, nightmare, front wheel drive. Yeah, no. That's for the professionals, right? If they want to do it. That's why it's so expensive. Big Mike goes, yup. But they didn't change the oil like we do now. That's true, too. Yeah, they didn't think of it. But these people would show up and just rip everything apart. And I remember reading, there was one guy that wrote for Popular Mechanics or Mechanics. I think it was Popular Mechanics. It was a smaller, yellowy book. And it was one guy he used to write. He had a series for several years, and I read his entire series. I was a big reader. I can't read well now because I don't know what's wrong. I mean, between the eyes and everything else, I don't know. My eyes right now, I'm not able to really focus on anything. And I'm looking at the camera and the little monitor. I am so blurry. And this would be the distance I would normally be able to see no problem at. So I do listen to certain audio books and stuff like that. I'll sit and listen. I'll just sit here and get quiet. And I go into a zone. I just let the intel come in. Or sometimes I'll watch or even on my cell phone, I'll grab stuff and I'll listen. I remember one time, it was a while back, I think it was Wayne asked on Ken's show if anybody knew who Jordan Peterson was. And nobody knew who he was. He got really popular, but he's very controversial. And I knew who Jordan Peterson was. I knew who he was before he was popular. He used to record all of his seminars and because he was a professor, he was a college teacher. And I used to watch and listen to a lot of college courses, MIT, you name it. He's up in Canada. And I saw so many of his courses that he put up online. Geez, he started way long time ago. And I listened to all of them. And I used to study all that stuff, and that's why I know a lot, because I actually spent time trying to learn shit, you know. And it was free, right? Like the MIT courses and all that. They have tons of stuff out there on video that you can watch. I guess it's dry, you know, listening to, but you just kind of sit and absorb it. You know, you put your hand on it, you go, oh, let it absorb. It's like osmotic. You know, but yeah, I knew who he was. Long ago, I knew who he was. He's been at it a long time. Of course, he wasn't like the way he is now back then. You know, he wasn't like radical or anything like that. He was just a teacher. Oh, yeah. Ken goes, he goes, you just need a Bridgeport and you'll be all set. I know, but where would I put it? I got to get organized first. A Bridgeport, or I've been watching. Do you guys ever check out that guy, Iron Jonesy, right? But I've noticed a number of people are doing shapers these days, like they're finding the old shapers. Those are pretty cool. But you could get, instead of like a turret head, you can get, I forget what they call it, but it's the one that comes this way and goes in a different direction. There's a number of manufacturers out there. Bridgeport is probably the most common. Well, it's really good. But there are other and smaller machines. Not everything has to sort of be in, you know, a knee style. You know, that's expensive, right? That's for bigger stuff. So maybe one day I'll find something that's suitable for the shop and that I can afford. But again, big shout out to Big Mike for helping me out with that lathe. Once I get the lathe set up and the garage set up a little bit more and I'm more comfortable in here sometime next year, yeah, I'll go from there. But, you know, I just love metalworking. Let's take a look at that welder real quick. And let me just finish up with you guys here. This is, Bravo goes, if Arch got a mill, we'd never see him live anymore. I know, right? I do spend a lot of time in the shop. I really do. Until I can't stand anymore, which happens fairly quick these days. Because I get tired. Because I'm on my feet all the time. Bravo goes, geez, my newest vehicle, I just saw a glitch. My newest vehicle is a 98 S10 pickup. I had one of those. I loved it. It had the little extended cab. 236,000 miles. Then a 97 Sentra, 248,000 miles. My restored Toronado is only 121, like a baby. And my 71 Camaro with about 7,000 miles on the drivetrain. Yeah, I had like no mileage on my drivetrain for my Nova. It's like very little. I got to pee first, though, before we go to it. So he goes, best dressed guy from our 51st state. Yeah, yep. That's him. Yeah, a 51st state. That's a thing. Although it's not going to be a state, but I've seen. Let me finish here. Let's see. Ken says a bench-mounted mill drill is good too. Yes. And John Doe. Any advice for working on a Toro wheel horse? I'm working through an electric problems. Oh my. Oh, did I show you guys this one? Yeah. Go to Ken's show. Go to Ken's, John, go to Ken's Saturday, 2 o'clock. They have the brain trust of small engine and equipment and put questions there. So let me see. Let me get a link if you don't know. Let me get a link before I go to this. I'm going to go to my channel here. I'll drop a link in if you don't know, in case you don't know. But yeah, total brain trust. Let's see. You know, forget about electrical problems, bro. None of us like to put up electrical stuff because no one will watch it. I have some electrical stuff up there, but nobody wants to watch it. So you put it up and it's like, why? You know, you get a handful of views. Yeah, let me show you his channel just in case you don't know. You know what? I'll put this. Hold on. Let me put this in the description of this video because it's just easier to have it there too. Because, you know, because to scroll and everything else. Yeah, it's in the description too. And just so you can see it. Mr. Mow-It-All, I love that. That was perfect. He added that. So what did I wanted to show you? Oh, yeah, let me find that guy. And, Yeah, nobody watches it. That one guy arguing with me, I don't think you're doing the right thing. When on Big Mike's on Star when I was doing the PTO, electrical PTO. I don't think you're doing the right thing. I don't think you know what you're doing. Oh, God. Oh, let's see. I got to find this guy. Hold on. Where is he? I should look at it anyway. Let's see. That's Greg. Where is he? Where did he go? I forgot his name already. What's this bug on my screen? Great. Let me go back from the top. I know I saved it. There's another bug. Yeah, the cats have fleas. They're almost gone. I think I mentioned that to you guys the other day. Yeah, here it is. He's another Mike. I was laughing at him. I was telling him a story. So this is a Toro. 50-inch. And here is Time Cutter. The V-twin. And that's the deck. Oh. I'll put it. I'm going to grab it. Oh, it flipped anyway. Stupid thing. Oh, stop it! And then as we zoom in, so I got a bunch of things to weld coming up. And you could see it. It's not terrible, but in the center blade, spindle. See the deck? Yeah. So I have some old decks I saved for things like this. And I'm like, between stuff for Mike, Big Mike, and here's the underside. And at some point, Big Mike wants to put that crazy bucket loader on one of these tractors, which is going to require a lot of cutting and welding. And then I have stuff for the lathe, and I have some other stuff, and some other. I actually, Monday-ish, Tuesday, I got to weld a muffler for a contractor, Mike. How do you break a muffler off of a gigantic Red Max backpack blower? It's like one of the biggest. It was the biggest Red Max backpack blower at one point in time. But now there's a newer model. How do you break that muffler off? I said to Mike, if the bolts aren't damaged in the block, in the head block, whatever, then we're okay. I should be able to weld it. However, it's a weird colored steel. Like it's been run for a long time. So I have it laying around here. Wait, yeah, hold on. Somewhere here. There it is. Now, I don't know how this happens. I haven't really looked at it all that close. It lives right now in the shed. See, I need another camera, spot camera over here. I actually have something I can set up for that. I really should have something like that. Eventually I'll get there. Let me see. So you can see the back. I know there's not a lot of light on it. Hold on. Put a little bit more light. Well, the rest of it is on the engine. I said, Mike, if I can get the bolts out. Now, notice the coloring. Now, it could just be plated, which would be my guess. Well, you may not really see the coloring because there's not good light here, but it could be a kind of a plating, like an alidine or anodizing or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm guessing. It's steel. Hold on, there's a magnet over here. Now that I'm thinking of it. Here. Yeah, Ken got me these. Yeah, here's a magnet right here. Where am I going? When he made a donation. So it's not very magnetic. So it could be like a similar to like a stainless. So I'm not, because this is not sticking, but this is just regular steel. Oh, wait, hold on. The magnet is stuck here. I got to fix that. I got to put a little hot glue on it. So here's a magnet. It's not really sticking. So it could be stainless. Though I got to look to see what I want to do with it. I got to see how much another muffler is. But not only that, I got to see if we can get the bolts out. Generally, you can get the bolts out. Okay. But I've had many a machine, especially two-strokes, where that doesn't happen. Something breaks, especially when this is broken. How do you break this? Unless it's just not mounted well. You can see it peeled off the back in vibration. Stainless is funny that way. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. So if I get the argon, I can fix this. But stainless, there's also a bracket missing here. So I wouldn't be surprised if it looks like there was a bracket or something. He could have knocked into something. These guys are so rough. I get it. This is what you do for a living, but I don't know. I mean, I freak out. Like, they literally just break stuff. They just break shit. I don't know. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Let's see. He goes, John Doe goes, yeah, I get it. It's lots of crimping and cutting. I appreciate the link. You got it, John. I like electrical stuff. I love electrical shit. Brett says, Confucius say, virginity like soap bubbles. One prick, all gone. Yep. Sorry, just being ornery. Yeah. John Doe, is that just from rot or did the pulley get jammed up? Well, I don't know, but usually it's just rot. I mean, it is an older machine. And it might be a thinner area. And I don't know how much is pulling on the center. There might be more. I mean, I really didn't get he's not here. So he sent me pics. He wanted to know if I could fix it. He wants to save it. He needs it. And he doesn't want to buy a new machine because they're really expensive. 50-inch cut. How much long do you want to cough out? So for a few $100s, I can, no problem. So I have pieces outside that I can just cut, make nice round and whatever with the plasma cutter. And we'll take a look at that in a minute. But that thing does plasma. It does TIG. It's only, I think, just DC TIG. But I could do not aluminum. I could do stainless. Well, I could do stainless too with the MIG. If I buy either a spool gun or you could just put stainless wire through it. They have wire out these days. It's not expensive. You just buy a small spool. I was thinking about getting one anyway because I have a project I want to do. But if the TIG will do it, I'll do it on the TIG. There's a bottle outside in the shed that my buddy that I haven't talked to in a long time since he got married and children. But he gave me a bottle. I think it's orange. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know if he had he used to be an HVAC guy, but they had a shop and he had this gigantic TIG welder that he brought here. Huge Lincoln. Miller. Really too big. And I said, bro, you got to take it back. Go sell it, do whatever you want with it. It's yours. He's like, well, keep it here. I'm like, there's really no room. The thing was huge. And it was really heavy, ridiculously heavy. You really needed there was a wheel kit that somebody put on it, but we had a hard time lifting it, and that was back then. And it was just too much. Like, that's something I'll never use. He took that back. I don't know if that bottle came from that, whatever. I don't know what orange is. I tried looking it up. It could be oxygen, but usually oxygen is green. But there are some variations to the standards of what gas they put in, what colored, I don't know. I'm not a professional welder, right? So I'll go around the corner. I'll call them Monday or Tuesday, and I'll tell them what I have. See if they can do like a swap or a discount, because I want to own it. Like, I own my bottles, right? You don't want to lease anything, and I don't need a gigantic bottle. And if I can just put straight up argon in it, I think that's what it is. So I have what, argon CO2. You really can't use argon CO2 for TIG. You can, but I never did TIG before. Right? I've welded a lot of things with a lot of different processes. I've never done TIG. I don't think that I would be able to weld TIG with CO2 gas in there because it's volatile. And as soon as you get that arc going and you start a puddle of any kind, it could flare. You can't control the arc. The whole thing with TIG is that it runs in a way that is very controllable and it doesn't do weird, unexpected things like MIG and stick. And you introduce, CO2 or something like that in there, and then it becomes unstable. I won't be able to do that. I've seen people weld with the mixed gas. It's not good for the weld itself. It'll splatter more, and it can lead to brittleness and what have you. But I've seen people do it and make it come out good. But they already know how to weld in TIG. So, of course it's going to come out good. Right? These guys could weld with a penny on the end of a stinger. Oh, look at that. I floated a dime. Literally a dime. Like, stick a dime on the end of a stinger and like, next, and like, oh, it's actual dimes. Look at that. I've seen that too. I've seen people do that. I can't do that. Yeah, let's see. Ken goes, the screws loosen over time, then a chunk breaks off. Yeah, I'm hoping that's what happened. Because if the screws loosen up, then obviously I can get them out, and then either I'll buy another muffler, or since I'll just I wasn't planning on doing TIG immediately, because I want the plasma and I want the stick on that thing. Right away. But if I have to move it up a little bit, I will. I'll move it up. So I'll find out this week. Brett says, it is supported by a bracket since it's so large. Yeah, that's what's broken there. It's just like the Husqvarna 580 BTS. Orange may be helium. I don't know where you would have gotten a helium tank from. If the HVAC guys use nitrogen to flush lines and test for leaks, typically, it's inert. So before you put, 22 or whatever refrigerant gas you're going to be using, because he was a big HVAC guy, still is, but he just does it for a very wealthy outfit that invented something for investing, and they all make good money. Even the guy that flushes the toilet, the money is shared for everybody in the company. So he's got a lot of money. But from what I remember, yeah, they use nitrogen. And so maybe it was a nitrogen tank, an extra small, like B size, nitrogen tank. That would be my guess, because that's what he would come across, whatever he would come across. Mike says, purple is helium. Yeah, that does make sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Hold on, let's go to P Lady, and we'll come back and I'll show you the welder real quick, because I got to pee. And I want to grab like another little snack. There's a little tiny slab of pizza that I'm saving for later after the show. We got some time. What time is it? Yeah, it's an hour and 35, so I'll stay a little bit longer. Let's find the P Lady. Hold on, because I got to pee. Has to happen. I said that a while ago. I've been holding it. Where'd she go? I don't use it that much anymore. Here we go. All right, B-Lady, move over. Move over, B-Lady. She's making a mess here. She's making a mess. Wipe the seat. You gotta wipe the seat. And he goes, Mitch says, hey, Arch. Hey, Mitch. Oh, you just came in late, Mitch. We're almost done. Brett says, Ed and I were talking about P-Lady a week ago. Yeah, she's well known, right? She gets better views than I do. Yep. So, I figured, I have another project. I have a big piece of stainless. It was a door off of a NEMA rated cabinet from HVAC controls and whatever. I used to do all that shit. I got a couple of them. And I've been using it to weld on because it's nice, it's flat, it's really strong, it's pretty thick. And it's big. I have two of them. They're 24 inches by, I don't know, 3 feet, whatever. So I was going to make a drip tray, like, a chip pan for the lathe, because it doesn't have anything. And some of them came with some of the cheap aluminum ones or whatever. But I was thinking, well, if I make it out of stainless, I don't have to paint it. It's never going to rot, right? I mean, I could make it out of aluminum too. It's easier to cut, but I can't weld aluminum. I can't weld aluminum with this TIG machine either, really, because that's a whole nother process. You can spool gun it. There's rod that you can use. I have welded aluminum with rod, in a torch. The piston on my air compressor, right? It ate a screw. I think it was some little screen or something, part of the air cleaner assembly. I don't know why they put screws on intakes of things. It got in and put a hole in the top of the piston of the air compressor. So I welded it shut, and it's been like that for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, whatever. I really needed a new pump. But so I was thinking, well, maybe I'll spool gun it, or maybe I'll get some stainless and I'll put it in my MIG gun, a small cheap spool of stainless, because the metallurgy today for welders is unbelievable. Like, they can cover all kinds of sins and do all kinds of weird stuff today with everything that they have out there. But you can't do everything. And I thought, well, let me see. Since I got all these different projects, I think that I was thinking this is probably stainless or something like that. It'd be easier to TIG it. I'll see what the cost of this is. I'll try to come up with a price. It is what it is. It's practice. And if I can pull it off, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be strong. And then I have to make sure that the bracket that holds this thing on is properly located and it's strong. You really can't weld. I could stainless spool through my MIG. That's cheap. That's actually very cheap. I think it's like $20 for a small spool or something like that. That'll probably do it. So I was thinking about doing that. Well, like I said, we'll find out. So anyway, let me show you. I did do a little bit of an intro, fooling around, opening up the welder and checking stuff out. So I'll just run the uncut short intro, and so you can take a peek at it. And you maybe see a little bit more why I chose this machine over than like a Yes welder or whatever. And, not that those are bad and all, but, let me see, where am I now? I gotta load it up. Let's see, which one is it? Let me see. Let me set it up. Hold on. Oh, right monitor. All right, everyone. Welcome to Arch's Garage. Let's get that out of the way. I'm Arch. Too many people say that. Like, oh, I'm so and so. Like, I don't think everybody knows that. We're gonna do an open box. Not really. Just take a quick look at it. Right? So if you saw the thumbnail, whenever I do the thumbnail, I haven't done the thumbnail yet because I haven't got out of the box yet. Arch, what are we doing? What we're doing, fellas, is we're getting to work. All right, I got work to do. Prime weld. This is the CT520DP in color black, and So we're gonna get as I kind of open the box. Let me tell you what I'm up to, what I like about it, what I'm hoping it will give me and us on this channel. I'm hoping it will do. I'm hoping I can do. So my thing is, I looked at a lot of the other brands, Yes Welder and Arc Captain, and I'm not saying I won't buy one of those in the future, but I needed something in a multi-process. I was talking about this with my friend Rob a while back. I needed something, but I was really unsure. And why I picked this company, it's heavy. Well packaged so far, is they have a 3-year warranty. I bought it, right? I reached out to PrimeWeld, I don't know, a month ago, sent them an email, and I got, crickets. So they don't care. So you know what? I buy my tools anyway. I don't really like to work with companies because I want to be able to say what the hell I want. It's not always the case, but I do want to be able to evaluate it. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire open box process in this video episode. We're going to do some of it. I'm going to get it out of here. I just want to see how it's packaged. And, you know, one of the nice things that when you buy it, see, if they gave it to you, who cares, right? I bought this, and it's like $500. It's expensive. Even with a 3-year warranty, by me doing this sort of open box kind of in front of you guys and making you suffer through it, is if anything's wrong or there's any damage, and you can see it doesn't look like it, then you'll see it. And they delivered it like right away. So there, let me see here, there's an address here. Where did I see it? Primeweld.com. 1001 Lower Landing Road, Suite 205, Blackwood, New Jersey, 08012. So, and they have a phone number on there too. They supposedly have a very good customer service and all of that. They're here. This didn't just come over on a boat, literally. Like, I mean, it did at some point, I guess. I don't think, most of these companies, their manufacturing is in China or whatever. But supposedly, this is, in that regard, they supposedly have people here, and if you have an issue or you want to order something, I didn't get every little thing for this, and again, we'll break this down. Looks good. I don't see any damage in here, fellas. I gotta see, I want to try to use it right away, but I don't know if we have the adapter for it. I may have to order that. I wasn't sure what adapter it was. I might have an outlet. I don't know. I got to sort all that out. That's why I wanted to get it here. I need it this week. Box looks good. Everything else looks good. It's nice. It's small. It's not too much. I've got my nice Lincoln back there. I'm going to be using that this week. I got a customer supposedly coming. I don't see why not. We got a deck to do. I got to fix a deck. And I've got a whole bunch of, look at the lathe project. I got some welding on that. We got a lot of potential projects and upcoming projects. Big Mike with his Sunstar tractor, he bought that bucket loader, and it's going to require cutting and welding. So cut, TIG, and plasma cut, plasma TIG, and supposedly stick. So this is something we got to look into tonight. Let me get you in tight, and I'll open up this box. We'll just kind of go through it a little bit, and we'll chat a little bit. But then we got to put it to work this week, Monday-ish, and for the next upcoming week. So I'll probably just kind of go.
Next. Yeah, that'll work.
All right, just a quick what's in the box. All right, so this all looks good. I'm going to be setting this up most likely tomorrow. That looks good. So we got our ground here, and I think these are long grounds. I like the way they mount too. The nice little bayet mounts. But this almost cut me. This is really bird right here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to address that. But other than that, the cable looks good. I forget whether these are 10 foot or whatever. They're pretty long. I'll measure them back. I'll check the manual later. But when I was looking at a lot of these different models, that was one of the things I was looking for. I was like, what's the length of these cords? Because, I'm a shop guy, right? And we got air fittings and such right here. So a bunch of different fittings. So we got that in there. We got our manual. We got our nozzles. Okay, different sizes. We'll go through that later. And so we got our TIG. I'm going to put this back in the bag. We're not going to be doing TIG yet. I do want to look into, I found a buddy of mine gave me another bottle. And so rather than just try to use the bottle for that, which is, argon and I don't know how much CO2's in it, here's our air line. So we'll set that up. And then this is the gas line, okay, for your argon. So I wanted to see, is it cheaper? I got to see if the welding place around the corner will allow me to exchange that bottle for something else or give me a discount. I'll try and call them up Monday and get that done. Right, here's our Stinger. Oh, that feels kind of nice. It's got some weight to it. Ooh, yeah, oh boy. Yeah, that's gonna hold the electrode good. That's got some heavy spring on it, fellas. That's gonna bite. That's nice. And this has got a pretty long cord too. Again, I'll go over that, which is in a bit. I just want to do this quick. So we're almost done with that. All right, that's our adapter. I'm gonna get to that in a minute. Came with a little tool, so we don't want to lose that. And then in the box here, probably some more accessories. Now, the plasma and the TIG come with your foot pedal capability. So I didn't get the foot pedal yet. That'll come later. I don't have enough money for everything yet because I'm buying it. Ah, yeah, here's your air regulator. That's nice. Clean filtered air. I believe that's what we're looking for there. And so we'll get that set up. And I got some stuff to do in the shop tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow, if not Monday. And here's your bracket for it. Now this I checked out. That's your adapter to 120. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I just measured this point to point. It's point to point. All right. I don't have a proper adapter for this yet. So if I don't get a chance to go over to one of the stores or order something right away because I'm tight, what I will do, since it's point to point, I will make up a twist lock adapter for this because it'll just be, so the twist lock will come in here and it'll, see, I have some twists here. I got an extra twist here. I got one hanging over there. I'll show you in a minute. Just to show you. So I'll make a dedicated twist. Yeah, see, I got some extras. So this is what I use. Not this one. Is it that? No, not this one. That one's a little bit different. And you should be able to see it. I'll try and zoom in. So this is what I use. So I have an extra. And let me get the other one. So it'll kind of, what'll happen is it'll come from a box or something from here, something whatever I make up, and come to this. And that'll go right into my 220. So my 220 line's here in the shop. And I actually need to make up some new drops. Let me get that other one real quick. Round or neutral. And then you got your standard blade vertical, and then you got one, ramp cock to the other side, right? So it's rotated 90, and so that way you can't. It looks almost like at first glance this needs to actually be cleaned up. Like it's been hanging there for a long time, and that's the female end. So it will look like 110 until you look at it. Many of these outlets are like that, so you can use an outlet like that too if you wish. Because you can't plug a 110 into it. So you're safe there. So we're covered that way, and it's probably auto detect with the way these things are today. It's most likely auto detect, so I don't really need a pigtail. In the future, when I settle in, I may put a different drop in, and then in that case, I'll use a connector like this, on the female socket side, in the wall, and I'll have a daddy box somewhere. But a lot of it in this shop with the two different rooms and everything, a lot of this is all long cabling that I've had to collect it over the years. In fact, some of that stuff needs to be replaced. It's getting a bit beat. I have some more in the basement. I just checked on that. So I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm gonna set up the airline, and then tomorrow at some point we got some cleaning to do. So we're talking about some very basic controls, very basic system. Another thing I like about that, this setup here is it has this swivel. Now, swivel is good. It's going to be a lot less stress on the cable and the handle. That all of this feels very good. We don't know if it's going to hold up. I don't know. Right? We'll find out. This one's got the swivel. This guy's got the swivel on it. Simple swivel. That kind of stuff definitely helps. That's more of a new thing too. You used to see that in the more expensive equipment. But of course the more expensive equipment's going to have some nice swivels. And so in here is all my stuff for my TIG. And I went to the basement here and into the other basement. Now I got to go out in the shed tomorrow and find some more stuff. But we don't. I also need to order. What I forgot to order is we don't have any of the tungstens for this, so we got to order a tungsten kit. Probably get that at the welding supply when I deal with the bottle issue. But I wanted something that was very simple, because I am going to have to go over there and get a bottle at some point. So I'll probably buy the tungstens from them. I'll go through all of that. But first things first. Tomorrow and or Monday, I'm going to go into the garage, empty it out again a little bit more, kind of set this thing up, and get the air to it. I have some drop lines. Looking through all my stuff. I got a lot, many feet of electrical cabling for welders, and I need to replace the line that's over there as well. So I'll get powered up, I'll get lined up, and we can at least start cutting, because that's actually the first thing that I need to do with this guy. And then once I get that far, we can try out the stick. All right, before I head off, I figured I just wanted to remind myself, at least on this video, because I don't script anything, some of the pros that I like, why I picked it. A couple of simple things. First of all, there's no plastic anywhere, no plastic fairing and dashboard. Not that that really matters, fellas, but you know what? Like my old Lincoln, it's just got around the front, it's just got a simple plastic bezel. We'll see that probably soon when I start working. So it's all metal, at least on the outside, and I like that. The handle is plastic, but that's how a lot of them, everything is today. And, you know, it's got a little burr right here. I can feel it. You know, you're going to want to hit that. But when you're carrying around with gloves, you're not going to notice things like that. But, you know, I'm a shop guy. I'm not always going to have gloves on. And it's just the fit and the finish. I see there's a little damage right here. I can feel it. It's like whoever pressed this on, or maybe it got a little bit damaged. So we're going to want to make sure we check functionality. You may not be able to see it. I'm kind of peeking in. I can feel it. It goes from about here to here. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Those are those like membrane face plates that they use that allow you to press these soft touch. So that's one thing that I don't like. Maybe it got damaged, maybe, you know, who knows. I'm just noticing it now as we inspect it. But I do like the gauge on the front. A lot of the other units do not have your air pressure gauge on the front. That's kind of important, especially for those of us that maybe are running an air compressor that's a little small, right? It's going to use a lot of air. So you want to make sure that you're dialed in to the right pressure when you go to start. And whatever the maximum is, I think it says right on there. I don't have my glasses on. I'll only get them. So yeah, I will be reading the manual later. But it says do not exceed 75 psi, and that's actually a little higher than most of these units, so that's pretty good. It gives you that extra bit of pressure, and you'll be able to see as you drop down, right? I think what 120 is over here. So as you start to drop down, there is 90 or 80. I think it's 90 right there, somewhere in that range. So you'll get used to noticing if you're dropping down in pressure. You know, why is it not cutting right? Well, there you go. Let your air compressor kind of catch up. And I do like these simple knobs, okay? Very similar in a lot of ways to my old WeldPak 125. And essentially you just choose what you're going to be doing with the welder. Just choose that up, whatever it is you're going to be doing with the welder, and it's going to tell you the voltage. Look, it's got 110, 220, so it's probably going to tell you, you know, which one you plugged into. Once you choose it, you're going to be making your adjustments, and it's just a standard readout. It's just a standard digital readout. I didn't want anything that connected to my phone.
that's a bad thing. I didn't want a big screen like my cell phone or something where I got to go through all these different menus. Look, this is a simple device, and welders, generally speaking, what I do in my shop is simple. So that's kind of where I am with that. All right, hold on. Shut him off. So that's it. So I'll find out more as time passes. It is what it is. Something to do. Oh, Francis says, "Hey, good evening, Arch." So yeah, I just wanted to show that a little bit, and I'll come out with a video eventually, but we're gonna just put it to work right away. And although hopefully I can set up the TIG function, it's just more money. I won't buy the foot pedal yet, but it doesn't need one. Some of the newer welders have some more features, pulse weld and what have you, which is kind of nice. Pulse welding is nice, especially on TIG. If you want to do more auto body work, it can be beneficial for smaller, like sheet metal, stuff like that. So you can kind of sit there. You don't need to have the foot pedal around. This thing doesn't require the foot pedal, but then you don't have, when you start up the welder, it does this thing where it kind of, supposedly goes like full power, so you get that arc going. But as you get close to the end or something, it doesn't know to do that. And it doesn't have a pulse feature. So if it has a pulse feature, you'll hear it. You'll go, and if you're getting close to the end of something, you can kind of time it so that you get to the end, you finish your weld, you pull away, and you won't get these, this weird weld situation where you kind of might burn through, or you get a weird puddle or whatever. And if you have the foot pedal, well, then you can just back off, right, and finish your weld and not have an issue. So eventually I'll get the foot pedal. But let's see, nice little weld. Yeah, Mike, it's a nice little, I think it's just be a good, simple machine. And some of the others, as you start to get up in process, like they're $700, $800. So for something like this at 500 versus like close to 8, right? But you're going to get a lot more capability. But when like Mike and I were talking about it, and like I want to get for like 150, 60 bucks, you can get a MIG that's just dedicated to flux core. So that's something on my list perhaps for the future, because for a lot of the welding that I do here in the shop, simple stuff, fixing a lawnmower body or a handle or something like that, the metal is thin. You don't need to be wasting gas. A lot of the deck metals and everything, even though you might grind them, the metal's not all that great. There's rust embedded into things. And the flux helps out a lot. You don't need a pretty weld. You're not looking to lay dimes. You just want penetration. You don't want to waste a lot of energy or your gas, because these bottles are expensive. You start putting these, rare gases in, noble gases in, and it's a lot of money. So a small quick welder that you can kind of bring somewhere, or just grab it and just go over and crack is gone. All right. And it splatters a little bit, but you know what? You grab some leather. I have like an old leather welding jacket that I got at a garage sale that was sitting in a bucket, and it was wet. And it was green. It was supposed to be tan, but it turned black and green. But I cleaned it off, and a lot of times I just use that I have a newer jacket, but I use the old jacket for covering over things. I don't want to get damaged. So if you're worried about splatter on like a lawnmower, you could just cover it over with a piece of leather or a piece of metal and reduce the splatter, and you're going to clean the area up a little bit. Splatter's not a terrible thing. It depends on what you're doing. You're looking for efficiency, and a lot of this stuff, like if you want to weld aluminum, there's a lot of ways to do aluminum, and then there's the expensive ways to do aluminum. So if you really want to do aluminum, that's expensive. If you kind of want to do aluminum, there's ways around that. You can kind of get by with a spool gun, or so a lot of the MIGs can kind of weld aluminum, but you got to have a separate wand, whip, because otherwise you'd have to be changing out the inserts on a lot of standard welders, and you risk damaging the insert. So if it's not always, it depends upon the wand and the whip. Some of these things are designed to be changed out really fast. That's on the better welders. On the cheaper welders, yeah, you can change them out, but you tend to damage the
the guts, you don't want to touch it. If it's working good, you don't want to touch it. So you need a bunch of different tools to do different things. And that's kind of where I'm at because I want to expand out my capabilities. And there's been stuff that I've been neglecting and not, just saying no to, and I don't want to do it because you don't have the tools. I don't want to hack at something, but that's it. That's it. Anyway, I got to go rest because I'm so out of focus right now. Let's see. Bravo goes, money is why he goes, money is why I use flux core. I can grind away the splatter. Yeah. Yeah. Brett goes, that'll serve you well, Arch. Yeah, I hope so. As long as, today people are getting really good results from these things. Listen, back when I bought my Lincoln, that was a lot of money. Most of my friends were buying the 110, 120 volt units, and I bought the 220 because I had access to 220. I think mine is dual voltage, but you have to make a physical change in the welder. But it's served me very well. It's not going anywhere, and I still use it, and I'm so glad to have it, but it's actually an old school welder. It's got a big tank of a transformer inside of it. Good luck lifting that, right? It's just not, it's portable, right? This thing, one hand I can lift it. It's kind of heavy, but there's a lot in it. It's a multi-process. So it's using today's electronics. And there's less of that hokey pokey, like I said, the things with these screens and everything, the screens die. The segments disappear. You can't now see what you're trying to dial it into. There's a program inside of it, and there's firmware in there, and that gets messed up over time. And I'm not going to fix that. The model before this one, this is a little bit newer because it's the Pulsar, or it's the I think it's like Pulstar or something. But it's the slightly newer, better technology. It's a little bit more money. The model just below it, it doesn't quite have the same capabilities and, cutting power, etc. It's got switches and knobs. Just switches and knobs with the LED or whatever. Yeah, the LED segmented readout. That's it. I like that. Right? I'm not saying I don't like the other, let's dial up the map of the universe and go in and, I can put like a hook on the waveform here and then drop it down. And listen, when you get into like AC and some of this other stuff, I get it. But for a lot of this stuff, let's not overcomplicate things, But anyway, I'm getting out of here. It's getting late. We're at like 2 hours. Where are we, fellas? What did we do tonight? 2 hours and 8 minutes and 7 seconds. I think we did good. I had fun. I'm glad to see everybody and sort of be back in the swing of things. I know Ken's back because it's getting a little cooler out. Yeah, bro, it was hot. It was hot. I'm so glad I got that AC in, and now I got to put away the other AC and put my shop back and my basement back together again and get all that done. But it was nice. It was nice being in here. On a 90-degree day, I could do 75-ish, 77. Which I could never do that with the other AC, even when it was running good, the one that was in the other building. I needed the two of them. But we're going to get the bill, and it's going to be expensive. But, life and comfort. And, I'm getting older. A lot of us are getting older. And, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of comfort every now and then in life, right? It's just, you got to have a little bit of soft time, for your fine ass. I'll see you guys later.